And a good Monday night, everybody. Kris McDonald, we are back with you finally. Oh, we've missed you guys so much, and we're grateful to be back with you on this Monday, the 14th day of July, 2025, already halfway through the 7th month of the year. And I could not be more happy tonight. And I would play her theme song, but every time I play it, I get my channel yanked because of the copyright issue. We got to find a hybrid version. Maybe I can do it. You dropped a bomb on me. We don't want her to leave the show. Kris Lemon is on the phone with us. The Lemon Drop is here in the flesh by phone tonight on our Monday Night Smack. Good to see you, friend. It's been a long time. We were talking brave stuff before the show, but we got a lot more stuff to talk about tonight. It's so good to have you, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing just fine.
Well, you know your family here on this network, and we have a lot of questions, and people ask, about guests all the time. But I have to tell you, you're right up there with any of them over the past 7.5 years. I get asked a lot, what's going on with Lemon Drop? And I said, we're going to get her back just as soon as she can. I know you've been sort of out of the touch of things, but I am just tickled to have you tonight. You know, I kid around with you a lot, but it's just because I love you, and you know we've always been able to rag each other and not offend each other through 7 years of friendship, 7.5 now. But it's good to see you, buddy. Listen, I want to ask you off the bat tonight. I know that there's been several stories that are raging out there tonight. I want to deal with the elephant in the room first, and one that I know you got some thoughts on, and I know that none of us have any definitive answers. I've got a few opinions about it, and we're going to get the audience to chime in on it a little bit later tonight on our show. But when you heard the statement by Bondi and Patel over this last week about Epstein, and that they've determined there's no client list, and there's been some confirmation of that by other sources. The breaking story tonight, Kris, is Ghislaine Maxwell, and we will read the statement here later tonight, but she is now saying that she's willing to talk, whereas before she has said she did not want to talk. Now, I wouldn't be putting, I put it like this, I wouldn't be putting money down on the table. Trump sort of, I don't know if it was a parody tonight, but he said that he was going to be sure to send Hillary Clinton in as her bodyguard for that. I don't think that's a good idea myself, but you have to laugh at this stuff because it seems like we can't get over this fascination with a dead pedophile, can we? We just can't do it.
No, it's the old saying, it's like beating a dead horse. Well, we're just keep beating Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
And he's been dead for a while.
No, he's been dead. I mean, and I don't think.
Yeah.
Look, and I, at first when I heard it, and look, I don't believe that there was not malfeasance, and I think there was a lot of stuff, a lot of questions about his death. But I'm going to tell you something. What I'm more concerned about tonight, I want to have answers to who this Thomas Crook was that almost came within an inch of killing our president a year ago. Because it's like our fascination is on Epstein, and we're letting time click by, and the Department of Justice and the Homeland Security people and all these people that have, and the mother, or not the mother, but the wife of the fireman that got killed, she's screaming tonight that, look, she's not got any answers in a year as to the man, any information of the man that killed her husband in this melee in Butler, Pennsylvania a year ago yesterday. I'm more concerned about that than I ever care about the Epstein stuff. I just think that it's time to let it go. Look, if there would have been arrests, if their arrests needed to have been made, they'd already been made. I just think that Pam Bondi oversold it. She would have been better off not to say anything. She did make some mistakes, but I don't blame Pam Bondi for this tonight. I know many people do, but they don't need to. They don't need to blame Cash Patel. They need to be worried about their country. We got more bigger fish to fry than Jeffrey Epstein. He's in the ground. He's not in a good place tonight, unless he had some kind of last-minute repentance that I don't think he did. But I will tell you this. I mean, I don't know. I don't know for sure, but I wouldn't put money on that. But my point is, we got a lot more serious questions, Kris, that are raging in the country, and I think this thing with Trump's assassination is far more important for us to look into.
Everything that I'm reading, is that heads are rolling at the Secret Service. They're, suspending agents that knew about it. Ones that protecting him, they were suspended anywhere from 5 days to a week to 2 weeks, whatever the time frame was. Okay. And whether somebody knew about it, didn't say anything, if he knew that something was going down and didn't say, hold his, accountable. Okay? Hold his feet to the fire, find out who else was involved in it, and lock them all up. Throw away the key, put him down in alligator Alcatraz. I'm sorry.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
We don't need that type of shenanigans going on. A man lost his life trying to protect his family, who was there to see Trump.
Yes.
Okay? You know, we already knew that there was bad crap happening trying to keep Trump out of office. So to know that there were shenanigans, that somebody knew that the shenanigans were taking place, okay? And for nobody to have the intestinal fortitude, if that's what you want to call it, to stand up and say, hey, something's going to go down. You may want to get some outside security to protect this guy and pull these guys off this job. If you don't have the intestinal fortitude, the American spirit, and say, this guy's in danger, either postpone this, get some better security, or whatever, how do you live with yourself?
No, yeah, but Chris, you're nailing, you're hitting on something that, I mean, I watched the feed today, and I mean, the $1 million question is, why hasn't anybody been fired? Do you realize nobody has been fired over this? There's been a lot of blather, there's been a lot of hearings, but nobody's been fired. Nobody's even been fired over this.
It's all just, they're being suspended. Okay, as somebody who worked for state government, and it probably the same goes for working for the federal government, it's hard to get fired.
That's true. I'll agree with that.
Okay. I was employed as a state employee for 12 years. It can't, you know, to get fired, you, honest to God, have to really screw up badly for them to fire your butt.
Yeah, you do. You do, Drop. You do.
I did not. I honestly left before they actually submitted the paperwork for my termination. You know, I wasn't going back to the prison after my knee surgery. But when you have a government job, whether you work, you know, in a government spot, or you work for a state job like the prison, state police, or something to that effect, you really have to screw the pooch,
well,
so to speak.
And I'm with you on that.
Just suspending these guys.
I know.
What message is that sending? Okay, well, you know, you did bad. We'll give you 5 days off, no pay.
But let me ask you this. These people that are being suspended, and I got to ask this question because, look, I think this is the question that's being asked out there. It's been asked for a year. And nobody wants to touch it with a 10-foot pole because I'm not so sure we want to know the answer to this. But I'm going to tell you something. I have a lot of questions, and I have a lot of concerns that this was set up by people on the Democrat side of the aisle. And I don't want to come out and blatantly say that they tried to kill him, but I'm going to say it tonight on this Monday Night Smack. That's what Monday Night Smack's about. We just say what's on our mind, and we just let it all hang out on Monday nights. But the Democrat Party tried to kill him, Chris. Tried to kill him twice. And I'm not so sure this doesn't go even back to the White House of 2021 to 24. I'm telling you, nothing surprises me at this point of what is being hit. And that, again, it goes back to the same Epstein problem. Look, I don't care about Jeffrey Epstein. I don't care about that list. I don't care who's on it. They can, if they was to bring the list out tonight, it's not going to change one single thing in this nation for the better. You know, look, they need to get justice for these victims. I'm sickened by some of the stories of these victims. Whether it was a client list or not, Jeffrey Epstein did some nasty, dirty, damnable, demonic stuff to these underage girls.
Probably they're just trying to protect those that are in power.
Well, they may be, but that's the same thing with this Crook case, though. That's the same thing with the assassination. I believe there are people in high places that you sort of nailed it a while ago. Look, even tonight, there's reports in Breitbart and Gateway Pundit that the head of the IRS, the head of the Secret Service, knew 10 days prior that there was a threat level against him, and they should have told him, like you said a while ago, don't go to Butler. Don't go there. We believe there's an actual threat against you. They let him go. But the million-dollar question is, how did this kid get within that closer range without them knowing he was on that roof? It's the Secret Service, for God's sake.
I mean, it just surprises me. You look at the time I think you need to peel back the entire onion from the time that Biden entered the White House till he walked out the door, if he walked out the door at all.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You peel back the onion, and I guess they're doing an oversight, find out going after the doctor. That's the number one priority. How do you get a doctor who's sitting there saying he's in good, perfect health when everybody in the entire world can see that this guy was borderline dementia?
Very true.
Okay? So don't sit there and say the sky is purple when you and I and everybody else in the world knows that the sky is blue, and this idiot's trying to tell us whatever. You got to peel back that onion in the 4 years that Biden was in office. You start peeling back that onion, and you start looking at every agency that was run by whoever it was run by, and you start looking at those people. What did they know? And once you find out what they knew and how that agency was run, and who did they really report to? Did they report to Biden, or who did they report to?
That's a question that may never be answered, because if they can't even go before Congress, every one of them's got this new form of amnesia that's going around in the Biden circles that we can't recall. They can't even. One lady was up there today said she couldn't even recall if he didn't sleep certain nights, that she had to wake him out of his sleep. That she can't recall that. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, that's the new form of dodging the truth. I just can't recall.
What you
the doctor
do
did that.
You call them before Congress. You say you can either talk now, or you can be sitting in the jail cell for contempt. You will sit in that jail cell until you decide that you want to comply. The Democrats didn't have a problem with busting down doors and handcuffing any of Trump's people because they wouldn't comply with orders. So tell them when they appear and they have this little case of amnesia going on, what you do is you sit there and go, you want to have a case of amnesia? Well, then we'll just send you to the hospital and have these tests run to see if you really have amnesia, or if you're having a battle with dementia. We'll see if you're going out, and then we'll get you treated to help you with that amnesia. And then you can come back and testify. If you fail to testify again, guess what? Then we'll just go ahead and find you in contempt, and we'll just send you off to the jailhouse.
I would nominate Chris Lemon then to be the head of the committee that interviews these people. I think that you could get the answers from them in about 5 minutes myself, Lemon Drop.
Because I deal with dumbasses all day long at work. Excuse my French, people. But I had one today. And the type of job that I do, I'm contracted to a bank, and we pull claims, and we have to review the claims and make a decision. Well, we have some agents that if they can get out of working a claim, they'll look at it, review it, make a fake up note, and stick it in there. But if they've only worked that claim a minute, 2 minutes, it's kind of fishy. Well, this agent pulled the claim, pended it, didn't leave a note, unpended it, and exited the claim within 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I pulled the claim. Well, she had exited the claim and unpended it, and she says, well, that's my claim. I said, no, it's not your claim. You exited the claim, you unpended it, it's my claim. Well, I would like it back. I said, and no, you're not getting it back. That claim became a free claim for anybody to work. You exited the claim and unpended it. That became a free claim for anybody to work.
Yeah.
What she wanted was me to give her the claim back so she could work it so she didn't get into trouble. It's called claim avoidance, and she didn't want to get in trouble with her supervisor.
So that's what is going on with this. Hey, I want to move it on a little bit. I got you about another 10, 15 minutes. I want to ask you a couple of quick questions. When we were in our heyday with you, and we were having you on pretty regularly, we did a whole week or two, maybe 3 or 4 weeks of a series of shows on the Nexium cult. And that was another situation that had a lot of Epstein-like traits. It was sort of separated from Epstein, but it's very similar. Have you? I know you've not been keeping up as you as you used to, but have you heard any updates of any of the people involved in that and where that stands? I know that Rainier, was pretty much.
Rainier is locked up for life.
He's locked up for life.
He's not getting out.
Yeah. But what about these other people, these sub people, the underlings? Because there were some ties to Gillibrand up in New York, was it not?
Yeah. Well, her mom and her dad and stepmom were tied to it.
Right.
And,
can you tell people real quick, because there's a lot of people that were not with us during those times. Tell everybody what the Nexium cult was, because people have not heard a lot about them as not recently, but they should be reminded because it's very similar to what the Epstein situation was tied to.
Okay. Nexium was founded by James Rainier, Nancy Salzman, and they recruited on the premise of being a self-help group. Well, yeah, they helped themselves all right to everybody else's money. And what they did was, when they got everybody together, you would have to pay to move up in this group. But what they did is, Rainier had a little group of women off to the side, and he called it Dom. Dominance, men over women, and he branded them with him and God, I forgot her name.
Yeah, I know you know about, but they were actually branding these women with hot irons. What they were basically putting a hot iron on their beings, and it was a trafficking network. But there was a lot of young girls too, and I think wasn't there one of the actresses, or she was a news personality. Catherine Oxenberg's daughter, and there was another one, Elizabeth Vargas. Wasn't she tied to this?
No, she was reporting on it. It was, I want to say Christy Mack.
Okay.
But Christy Mack. There was another one. Sarah Edmondson.
There were several high-profile people.
There were several very people involved in it. But they had a place up in just outside of Albany. I was actually up in the Saratoga Springs area, not far from where this place was last summer. I was with a friend, and if I was by myself, I probably would have went and tried to find it. because we actually drove by the exit.
Wow.
Yeah. And I thought about it as we went driving by, but I wasn't driving. It wasn't my car, so I just left it alone. And I was thinking, wow, to be up in this area where all of this took place, and you would have known about it, probably would have never heard about it, because in this area where this whole thing took place is just little towns. Saratoga Springs is just a little race town. It's got Saratoga Springs track. It's, not very big. You've got a Bible college just down the road. Albany's probably about 40, 50 miles up the road from where we were. I'm trying to think of the name of the town, but they have got all these little towns around. So you wouldn't think it would be something huge, but that's what they gravitated, was because they could hold these large communals and nobody would actually know about it.
Yeah. Do you believe there was ever any, and I mean, it's not any way you can prove it, but this is an opinion question. Do you believe there was ever any connection with what Rainier was doing and Epstein? Do you think they ever crossed paths, or do you think this was two separate incidents, two separate situations, and both were so ugly? And because what they did to these women was pretty bad, and they were targeting young girls too. I mean, it wasn't just women in their 20s and 30s. This was being targeted to young kids.
I think the groups that Epstein ran with and the group that
Rainier
ran with were on total opposites of the spectrum.
Okay, and that's fair. I said there's no indication they ever had any connection, but it was worth the ask to see what you thought.
The only connection that they could have had was the Clintons.
Well, the Clintons connect everything, right? they connect everything. Clintons connect everything.
Well, the reason why I say that, and it may be funny, but the Nancy Salzman and the Bronfman girls, if you remember back,
I do.
When I brought it up,
yes,
those three had donated to Bill Clinton's Clinton Global Initiative.
Interesting.
Okay, they were connected to Raniere. Okay, well, Clinton, we all know, was connected to Epstein. And I still believe I've got the flight logs and the little blue black book on my laptop in some folder.
Yeah.
Where it shows where he's taken at least 28 flights to St. James Island.
Right.
And his name is in the flight logs.
And I get it, and I will say this, and I've mellowed out a little bit about this over the few years I've been doing this, because look, there's a lot of people. Trump was on that flight log. There was a lot of people. Even Robert F. Kennedy admitted to Jesse Waters last week that him and his family went in 1993, but it doesn't mean they went down there to pedophile kids. So there was a lot of people on the flight logs. The part of this that is going to be hard to prove is what happened on that island unless you had eyewitnesses. And I think that's what makes this Ghislaine Maxwell story tonight so explosive, if it's being reported right. And that there's a challenge these days because there's so much junk on right and the left.
The thing is when the FBI went to St. James Island and gathered up all that evidence, what did they do with it? Cash and Dan should know where that evidence is.
I'll agree with that.
That is why Dan got ticked off with Sam Bondi when she said there's nothing to it, because he knows that there is evidence.
Well, it seems that they're wanting to, and look, let me drop. This is the way I look at it tonight. In a perfect world, we would have perfect justice. We don't have a perfect world. I think James Wood. I saw something he posted this week about it, and I couldn't agree more with what he said. He says we all know that there are questions that are running rampant about this situation, questions that have not been answered, questions that never will be answered. The deep state sucks. The deep state has done some horrible things to people, including kids. And he said, ultimately, when all this is over and the smoke clears, you're not going to see anything done about it. And I think that we've got far more serious questions. And again, my concern tonight is that we're basically, and it could be, and I've seen this a little bit tonight too. There's been a lot of firings at the DOJ this week, tonight. There's been a lot. There's going to be a dismantling. The Supreme Court tonight gave Trump the go-ahead to dismantle the Department of Education. Marco Rubio has been basically, it's been a slaughter at the Department of State with these deep state elites. And I think that in many ways, you know how Trump is. And, when we were, again, we talked a lot during his first term, me and you. And one of the things that he was always good at is he would do things like he's done with this Epstein situation, and people will be running at the bit while he's getting the job done somewhere else. And I just think that, I think that we're following the wrong rabbit. I don't want to follow the rabbit. I know people have questions about it. It's not going to change the course of events in this country. What will change the course of events is this. If it's proven that a former president had his hand in the assassination attempt of a current president, you got a problem. This auto pen situation with Fauci tonight, we're finding out that Biden is not the one that pardoned him. The auto pen scandal, Trump himself is saying that's far more important than the Epstein thing. And these are the things we need to be concentrating on and concerning ourselves with. And that includes the MAGA community tonight, because I'm seeing a lot of these MAGA voices and a lot of these people claiming they're losing faith in Trump. Grow up is what I've got to say to that group. Grow the blank up and and stop acting like petulant children chasing some 5th grade toy on a playground. You got a dead pedophile. Let the dead bury their dead. He's gone. You can't charge him no more than you can charge this kid anything and do anything more to this kid, this Thomas Crook, that came within the hair lash of killing our president. And God knows what was being given to that kid to do it and what was in that kid's head. I do not believe he acted alone. I don't. I'm far more concerned about that tonight than I would be anything that has to do with a dead pedophile.
If Maxwell is willing to talk, whoever she wants to talk to, hell, if she wants to talk to Tam Bondi, if she wants to talk to Cash Patel, if she wants to talk to Dan Bongino, let her talk to somebody. If she can say, hey, there is a list. I know what the list is. I'll get you the list, and I'll help you go after everyone. Do it. But if not, if she doesn't want to talk, you know what? Let's go after whoever decided to set up the assassination attempt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and again, you're right. I'm not going to.
Whoever it was that killed Corey.
I know.
In Butler.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with that, and I'm not going to disagree that if she's willing to talk. And again, that's we've got the story. We just we got the video, I think, of it in the screenshot. We'll deal with it after I let you go. But we'll see if that is any fruit to this, because I've learned the hard way on both the right and the left. I don't trust a thing on that media. I don't trust anything I see these days on either side, because our side is just as bad about putting stuff out there and throwing stuff on the wall that's proven not to be true, Lemon, and that's something that we need to fix on the right, because we're just as guilty as the left. We put stuff out there and it's proven not to be true. People chase these rabbits, and they waste a lot of time. I'm concerned about our nation tonight. I want to see our nation prosperous. Look, we've got terrorists. Do you realize that two of the biggest cities in America, New York City and Minneapolis, there's another kook that is running for mayor of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and St. Paul, the capital, that is probably going to make Zomar Mandati look like Mr. Rogers. And what is going on with this country? I got to ask you this. We've got about 5 minutes, 10, buddy, and let you make this quick. What is your thoughts about this Islamic takeover of our nation? You've got some of the biggest cities in America facing threats of leadership, that you've got a communist. And I heard Mark Levin say this last night. He's not even a socialist. He said, I'm tired of hearing. He said, socialism is economic. He said, this guy is an Islamic Marxist who is going to impose literal Sharia law on the biggest city in the world. New York City is not just the biggest city in America, buddy. It's the biggest city in the world. You know that? And I mean, they're within a hairbreadth of putting an Islamic Marxist in charge of their city. That's scary to me. That's far more important than whatever.
When you get the Generation Zs and the Generation Xs and whatever else you want to call them, and can't get their heads out of their asses and allow them to do whatever they do, that's what you get. You know, we sit back. I mean, you know, we're from the old school. We're from the old school. We see all of this stuff back. We see all that is taking place. We see it. We see all these stupid people doing stupid stuff, and we all can see what is going to take place. And you can sit there till you're blue in the face and say it's not gonna work. What you're making a bad move. I'm telling you, you're making a bad move. But they're not listening. Let them. Honestly, they're gonna have to learn. They're gonna have to learn the hard way.
Do you think there is any way in this sick universe that we're in right now that New York City elects Islamic Marxists? Do you think there's any? Because I heard tonight. This is crazy. This is nutty. This is how messed up New York City has become. Cuomo is staying on the ticket as an independent. Eric Adams is staying on the ticket as an independent. The fear is tonight that that vote is going to be split three ways. Because, look, Mondotti's got the far left loons. He's got that group. And if Eric Adams and Cuomo get on that ticket as independents, then the rest of that vote could be split, and Mondotti could win by default because of the overall vote being split between Cuomo and Adams. And that's not coming from left-wing crazy sites. That's coming from really people that are looking at this from a very conservative, sober-minded view. And that's a concern tonight, that you're going to wind up having a 1992 situation. What happened to Bush Sr. in re-election with Clinton? Perot split the vote and Clinton walked in. And we wound up with 8 years of Bill Clinton because of the same thing. Not that Bush Sr. was the best president. I'm not saying it wasn't not all Bill Clinton. Bush Sr. sucked. But
if it comes down to, are you talking about Andrew or Kris?
Andrew Cuomo, the former governor of New York.
I think they're looking at him for crimes.
Well, they are, but hey, it's New York City, Lemon. I mean, come on, it's New York City. They don't care about that. Do you think the New York City people care about that? They don't care about that. They're putting if they're putting Islamic Marxists up as a dim, they don't care.
I would let him just kind of slide to the back. Cuomo needs to be smart enough to step out and let it. I'm not a fan of either one of them, but if I had to have my dithers about it, I would take Adams.
I'm not a big fan of Adams, but I'm with you. He seems conservative compared to the other two. And it's not my fault. Look, it's not my dog. I don't have a dog in this. I don't live in New York City, but it's going to affect the country. It will affect the nation because New York City affects the world. It's the seat of the greatest population of any city in America.
Mark my words on it. If this other guy gets in his mirror, you're going to mark my words. You're going to watch. You're going to watch Major League Sports leave New York.
Well, I wouldn't doubt that, and that's already happening. I mean, you've got people threatening to leave. But see, Kris, this is what, as we close on this interview, this is what concerns me with our people tonight. This is what concerns me with the nation. You got a nation fascinated with files that may or may not exist. You got a nation fascinated with what's on the soap operas and the latest craze and this craze and that fad and that fad. And again, you've got this situation brewing in our largest city tonight that an Islamic Marxist is within a hairbreadth of taking over this huge city of our nation. Most people have not given that a thought, but they stay up at night twiddling their hands and twiddling their fingers about whether, again, there's a client list and they want to fire somebody and want to have flesh and let's fire Bondi and fire Patel and all this. And it drives me crazy. And then, again, we sit here a year later with really no answers on Thomas Crook. The Department of Homeland Security needs to come clean. Somebody needs to release these files, declassify these files. NOM needs to do this. And the things we get that distract us in this country scares me to death. Because the things that really matter, people don't think about. They don't even give a second thought to. And the things that ultimately don't matter to a hill of beans, people will put every bit of effort in and every bit of time and every bit of wasted energy in to try to figure out. And they can't do it. And that's just my opinion. Listen, you got 3 minutes. You got to wrap us up. It's good to see you tonight. I'm grateful you came on. The Panthers are going to be better this year. The Braves are sucking, but maybe we can do a second half miracle. I was thinking tonight about the Boston Red Sox. I think it was 1986 maybe, or maybe 1990. I don't know which it was. They had a very similar first half, and they went on a streak of Clemens was he was still on the team then, so it had been in the late 80s. But they went on a wild streak and won the East by turning everything around in the second half. So maybe the Braves can, if they get the right players and players were hitting again, maybe they can do that. I don't predict that, but maybe so. We're Braves fans, me and her are. And but it's good to see you tonight. Final thoughts? Wrap us up.
Yeah. Final thoughts. You gotta stay focused. Put the noise out of your head, whatever you're hearing, whether it's the Epstein files or, whatever you're hearing, take it with a grain of salt. Because whatever CNN is telling you over here or MSNBC is over here, or ABC, CBS, NBC. You turn it on, it's probably going to be all the same. Just run it a little bit differently for you. Take it with a grain of salt. Rely on resourcing what information you do hear. Resource it. Dig into it. Look into it. Figure it out. Don't always believe the first thing you hear. It's, you'll be surprised when you find out, because you could be, like I read that all this ballyhoo over the list has caused them to reconsider the whole mess. But that's one source. I go digging to see if I can find any other information about it. I can't find anything.
Right.
So, don't just rely on one piece of information that you read it on. See if you can find more legitimate websites. Don't rely on one site and say, oh, that's it. Use your sources. You know, like we're always told, you have your sources. You have your solution center. You have your OneNote. You have your facts. You have each other. You have this. You have that. Use them. Well, you have different news organizations. You have Yahoo. You have MSN. You have umpteen million websites that you can get information from. But also kind of reach out and talk to other people that you know. See if they're hearing the same thing and where are they hearing it from.
Right.
If they're not hearing it from the same places you're hearing from, where are they hearing it from so that you can look at it and read it for yourself? Just don't take words from them. Get that information and read it yourself.
It's good advice, buddy. Good advice. Always a pleasure, and it won't be as long in between visits next time, I hope, and we'll get you on video cam next time. But I'm glad you come on by phone tonight, and thank you for being with me. And always a pleasure, always a good time. I gotta find a generic. You dropped a bomb on me song, so they don't kick me for. Who was the group that did that? Who was the group that did that song?
The Gap.
The Gap. Exactly. I remember I was Ubering one night several years ago, and I think I accidentally called you or something. We were.
Yeah, you did. 12:30 in the
12:30 in the morning. And I had the bomb music. I know what it was. It was playing on It was a channel. And it was playing on the radio, and I called you up and said, hey, Lennon, they got your theme song. They're playing your theme song here. And, of course, you didn't speak to me for a few months after that. But anyway, hey, buddy, I got to run. Much love.
Okay.
Thank you for being with me tonight.
Yep.
Have a good one.
You too.
See ya. Good night.
Bye.
Kris Limit, everybody. Put some fire in that house for her. And we're grateful to have her. It's been a while, and I'm sitting around today saying we need to have a weird, wild guest on a Monday night, and she came to mind, and I was grateful that she said, because she's been dealing with a lot of things physically and some other things that I won't get into tonight, but she's a camper, patriot. She's one of those that just says it like it is, don't she? And put some fire in that house for her, and we're grateful that she's with us. I'm not going to keep you much longer tonight. But I do want to play a couple of videos, and we want to thank her for being with us, Kris. And she did a lot of valuable research and a lot of investigative reporting in her day. She said that she's going to try to get back to that, but right now she's trying to recoup, and she's had some surgeries, and she's trying to get herself back. But I felt led to have her on tonight, and I'm glad I did. It was good. She is the one and only. She is the one and only. Well, we've got a couple of things I want to play for you tonight. By the way, I spoke of this guy. This is the, you think the guy from New York is nutty? Look at this dude.
Look at me. Look at me. I'm the captain now.
This is the next Minnesota. He's running for the mayor of Minneapolis. This is Somali pirate lookalike, Omar Fateh. Fateh. Does that not look like a real winner, a conservative? Wants to defund the police, legalize drug dens, and raise wages for illegal workers. Only in Minnesota. Only in Minnesota. I don't know who did these things on X, but that was from Kristen Sokolov's X account. That's your next Islamic Marxist. And folks, look, we had Kris on tonight, but the rest of the show, we're going to be on for a while. We're going to be on till 11 at least. But I will tell you that was sort of what's been stirring in my heart today about this Islamic takeover of our nation. And it's not good. It's not good. And I've got a bad feeling that more of these are going to pop up in these cities, especially in these blue states. And look, he may not have a prayer and you know where, but he's throwing his lot in. And don't underestimate the populace, and don't underestimate the fact that people are dumb enough to vote for an Islamic Marxist in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The same Minneapolis that basically burned to the ground thanks to Tim Walz and the Minneapolis lack of policing during the George Floyd riots of 2021 and 2020. So there you have it. And Omar Fateh Wantz. Fateh. It's not Wantz is his last name. They got the W there as capital. I thought that may have been his last name. But Omar Fateh, Fateh. Defund police to legalize drug dens and raise wages for illegal workers. Don't you just want to go out and vote for that tonight? Go out and vote for that. Here's President Trump talking about the Lord saving him a year ago. Yesterday, folks, very powerful words from our president. Aren't you glad that bullet missed? I am.
And it's remarkable to think that it was only 1 year ago this week that my time on earth nearly ended. And if you look at that, God was with me, because that's something that, in theory, I should not be with you. Well, I believe that, and I believe it, that my life was saved by God to really make America great again. I really believe that. I think I have a son. He's a great shooter, like a championship shooter. Don and Eric is a great shooter, both of them. But they said that at that distance with that gun, you didn't have a chance. And we turned the head at the right time, didn't we? Huh? We turned the head at the right time. So, I don't know, some people say it was lucky, and some people say something else. I say something else. I think God helped us.
Amen. It was. It was not luck. It was not luck. It was not luck. And if there's any reason to trust President Trump, if there's any reason to understand that the man has got the hand of God on him, folks, and that does not mean, there's been a lot of people in history that's had the hand of God on them, and they've not been perfect. They've been imperfect people. President Trump's an imperfect person, just like Kris McDonald is, just like every one of you are tonight. But I will tell you this, everything I've seen in the first 6 months of his presidency, I've never seen a 6-month run of what he's going through right now and what he's done to change the country in the direction it's changed so quickly. And that's why this Epstein stuff is so childish. And I've watched some of the comments and some of these social media influencers. And everybody, again, it's like a bunch of 5th grade children with a fork beating their fork on their table, wanting their piece. And they get their piece and they don't get what they want, then I'm going to take my toy and go somewhere else. We've got a lot of people that act like that in this country, and it's selfish. It's nothing but selfish stupidity, ignorance, and you can say whatever you want to call it. It's just complete political, spiritual ignorance. A lot of it's coming from Christians. And I might as well bring this up. There was a post today that I think it was Paul White, one of his spiritual advisors, basically prayed for the president and Bridget Gabrielle, who is part of a great organization. She has been a voice warning America for nearly 2 decades now about this very thing that's going on in Minneapolis tonight, this very thing that's going on in New York, this very thing that's going on in Congress, this very thing that's going on in the streets of these colleges, this Islamic takeover of this nation. She's been warning this for 20 years, and her husband, I think it's her brother, actually Mark's her brother, Mark Gabriel, has wrote a series of books about it. And these warnings have been largely ignored. All she posted today was a picture of Paula White praying for the president. And she said in that tweet, she says, "Isn't it refreshing that we have a president that allows people to pray for him?" If you would have read the comments underneath that, I wonder sometimes, I do. I wonder sometimes I just wasn't raised this way. I just wasn't raised to think the way people think, the way some of these nuts think. And I looked at them, and a lot of these accounts were so-called Christians, and they were not being happy about the fact that President Trump was being prayed for. They were taking personal shots at Miss White. I may not like Miss White's theology, but thank God she's praying for our president. Now, you don't have to like Paula White, and you can trash her and trash her character, and people put videos out there every day. That's all they've got time to do, because that's because they've got no better character than that of a dog to do something like that. I got more respect for the blood of a dead dog than for people that go out there and trash people's character and trash people's past and do what they're doing. Because, see, that's again something that Satan uses to distract us from the real problem. We got a president like to die last year. Did you hear what he said, what his son said? With that gun at that distance, he didn't have a chance. If that, and literally, folks, that close, and I'm not exaggerating, I mean, he will tell you this, everything that's been seen, that close, is how close it came. Here is a video. Here's a video of that event last year, if you'll let me play it. This is sort of a summary of what happened last year. And let me see here. Let me do this. Whoops. Screen went a little weird on me there. Watch this. This is a reminder of what happened July the 13th of 2024 in Butler, Pennsylvania. We need to be grateful for tonight. We need to be grateful he's alive and grateful somebody's praying for him, instead of most people out there trashing him and trashing the people that are praying for him. Get on the train or get off.
Donald was the young man who was going to conquer Manhattan.
He takes chances that would make a less daring man shudder.
To think about the arc of where he's been, it's like some sort of mythical story or something.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me.
Donald Trump seems to always get stronger when challenged.
My God, that guy's got resilience.
Those who deal with you underestimate you and live to regret it.
It's always good to be underestimated. It is not about politics. It's about our love for this great country, America, and we're not going to let it fail. I will fight like no one has ever fought before.
Trump is the bodyguard of Western civilization.
You want to talk about a fighter, a walk through fire? He's an absolute savage.
He knows that this is much bigger than him. This is about the American people. They have no idea what they have unleashed. He was ready to go face the cameras and come out swinging.
What will future Americans say we did in our brief time here on Earth? It will be defined by your vision, your perseverance, and your grit. Nothing will sway us, nothing will slow us, and no one will ever stop us. We are Americans. Ambition is our heritage. Greatness is our birthright, and the future belongs to us.
Yes, it does. Here is President Trump today on America and his thoughts about our nation. Roll the tape.
Hard. And the alternative is one of two things. You can either get all these things and make the economy strong, or you're going to literally have perhaps a depression where you people so rich, so beautiful, so nice to look at will be totally busted. And let's see how long your wife stays with you. You're beautiful. She'll stay with you for about 3 weeks and she'll say, darling, I can't take it anymore. I can't take it anymore, darling. I'm leaving you. I said to one guy, he's a very, very unattractive man, but he's smart and he's rich. And I said, you better hope we get this thing passed because your wife will be gone within about 2 minutes. He said, you're right.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
That's the first one tonight. That was President Trump on the big, beautiful bill. You got to love him. You just got to love him. I mean, that's how he looked at things. Here's Jesse Waters on the Week of Champions. This is President Trump today with the soccer team. And the golden...
Donald Trump was in the VIP box this weekend for the biggest soccer final in the world. The championship match was in New Jersey yesterday, and 47 brought Melania for a day date. The Brits upset the French 3-0. And the president wasn't going to miss out on the celebration, so he showed up to the trophy lift like he owned the team. Trump liked the trophy so much that he took it home with him.
They said, could you hold this trophy for a little while? We put it in the Oval Office. And then I said, when are you going to pick up the trophy? He says, we're never going to pick it up. You can have it forever in the Oval Office. We're making a new one. And they actually made a new one. So that was quite exciting.
It's 24 karat gold. And you know, Trump loves his gold. Plus, it looks better in the Oval anyway. Trump lifted the gold on the anniversary of dodging death. Same day, same hour. Since then, he's been a man on a mission.
When history looks back on this time in our country, when history looks back on you, how would you like to be remembered?
A good person, but a person that saved our country. I really believed our country was going down for the fall. I don't know if it ever could have come back. It was very close to the edge.
The country was teetering because Biden let the whole third world pour in for 4 years. Trump stopped the flooding, and now he's sending them home. And the one thing that brought America to its knees is the one thing Democrats are still fighting for.
Yes. This is not in a third world country. This is in New York City, folks. This is in New York City. We're going to talk about the alligator. Geraldine talks about we're up to our knees in alligators. We're up into our knees of something, Geraldine. I don't know if it's alligators. But this is New York City. Basically, acting the fool. These are folks. These are normal folks in America, folks. This is the state of affairs in our country.
Instead of enjoying the gold, Democrats are fanning the flames and letting their assassination fetish get the best of them. A couple of ICE agents got doxxed in Portland this weekend, and radicals showed up outside their doors and told them to go die.
I have become more radical. I have become more extreme. So my megaphone speeches of saying, please think about the children, have slowly turned into kill yourself.
This is why they wear masks. Wingnuts tried raining on Homan's parade too, but Tom didn't let him go without a
This is priceless. Listen up. Listen up.
Thinking.
Wait 3 or 5 years. Pardon me?
Are you an MS-13 member?
Hey, that's okay. That's okay. Bring it. Bring it. They got morons like this all over the country. This guy wouldn't know us like the surface nation. This guy ain't got the balls to be an ICE officer. He hasn't got the balls to be a border patrol agent. This guy lives in his mother's basement. Get out of here, you loser.
Homan has to live.
He also added that he probably pees sitting down. I'll just leave that one alone. Roll the tape.
From his wife because of the threats he gets from.
And I've told you this last week. He lives separate from his wife. He has to realize. Attacks are up 700% on ICE agents in the last 3 months alone, since they cannot protect. And we're going to play a video here in a minute of one of the Politico reporters basically mocking them wear masks. It's amazing they wanted to mask us up 4 years ago over a fake virus, and now ICE has got to basically hide their identity from these crazy loons that you just saw. They doxed people in Portland. They went to their home and started screaming, "Go kill yourself." He can't even live with his own precious wife because of the threat that he faces from these loons defending the country.
Guys like this.
This is what they brought us yesterday. That is what they met us with yesterday. That is what they shot at us with yesterday. Our incredible volunteers have been nonstop since 5 in the morning every day across this county, patrolling and surveying our spots and jamming up every ICE officer that we find.
Last week, ICE got shot at by Trantifa, and the media treated it like Hunter's laptop and didn't cover it. CNN and MSNBC didn't mention it once. Instead, the media is trying to unmask the victims.
Name the police agency has a 700% increase in assaults. Name one.
I haven't looked at that data, yeah.
You won't find one. The attacks on ICE is unprecedented, 700% increase. And we're not even talking about the doxing of agents, their spouses, and their children.
That's right.
So they're wearing masks to help give them some sort of protection.
And in context of this is a Politico interview that he did yesterday. The idiot reporter, pardon my term idiot to the real idiots out there, it's an insult to the real idiots, but she was trying to complain to him that they were masked up, that it's not fair that they're Gestapo Nazi type techniques that, putting masks on to hide their face. 700%, folks. 700% in 3 months. That's unreal. That's hard to put into words. Keep going,
the
Tom.
people that complain about ICE wearing masks, have they ever said anything about BLM protesters wearing masks?
BLM protesters wore masks. Did the media care about that? Did Antifa wear masks? Did the media care about that? Do you see any of these people that go out and throw these Molotov cocktails without a mask on? Whether, I don't care, and these students on these anti-Semitic punk kids saying blank the Jews and kill the Jews, are they not masked up? Do you hear the media complaining about any of that? No, you do not.
Democrats are protecting the privacy of BLM, Antifa, and MS-13, but not ICE. This weekend, Trump actually opened the big, beautiful doors to Alligator Alcatraz and let Congress come in for a quick little look-see. Debbie Diamond Hand Schultz was mad that Jose doesn't have a gold-plated bidet.
They are essentially packed into cages.
She's complaining that they don't have the Hilton Hotel down at Alligator Alcatraz, which I got some thoughts to say about that. Roll the tape.
Wall-to-wall humans, 32 detainees per cage. That is the only thing inside those cages are their bunk beds, and there are 3 tiny toilets. They essentially drink.
Cry me a river.
They get their drinking water and they brush their teeth where they poop.
Now, I've just got to say this, and I know Jenny Caslanova, I just got to, let me do this. She liked the first one, but she just said something. They brush their teeth, and what else did she say? They drink their water where they poop. There ain't a human being in the universe when you go to the bathroom that you don't do the same thing.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
Elementary, my dear Watson. Roll the tape.
In the same
Roll the tape.
Everybody brushes their teeth.
Thank you, Jesse.
It's called a
Thank you.
She's probably talking about these sink toilet units that every prison in America has. The migrant criminals are getting treated the same way as American criminals, and Debbie's angry that they're not being treated better. And how does Debbie think we should be detaining criminal aliens if we don't use cages? And are these even really cages?
Nope, they're
It's
not.
like any fence you see anywhere. She doesn't like the supermax in El Salvador. She doesn't want to keep them in jails and sanctuary cities, and Alligator Alcatraz isn't nice enough. It seems like defense attorney Debbie wants MS-13 to stay in Times Square hotels for eternity. This is just a temporary facility that these guys stay at for a few weeks before they get shipped home.
It is a center to process illegal aliens and then to provide a pad to deport them from the runway that's right there. We did not create the Four Seasons. That's not the intent of this. All the standards are a lot higher than what was even required, but that's, really beside the point.
If they're not serving margaritas at Alligator Alcatraz and every unit doesn't have marble vanities and Toto toilets, Democrats call it a dungeon.
The reality is,
This one needs to be deported. Brandon Gill is pushing a bill right now that if you're not natural born in this country, you should not be able to run for any office, Congress, the presidency, courts, or anything. I think we can get a hearty amen in the House on that one. What you say about that
they
tonight?
come for one of us, they're eventually going to come for all of us. And we've seen, the construction of Alcatraz, Alligator Alcatraz. We're seeing people being abducted and sent to dungeons in foreign countries.
Omar and Debbie never lamented the living conditions of government housing projects or living conditions in Appalachia or my dorm room, which was very small. They only complain about Alligator Alcatraz and Guantanamo Bay. They make sure the foreign terrorists are comfortable and they have everything they need. The Democrats complained so much during the war on terror, you remember? We were letting Al-Qaeda play soccer and video games. These are some of the dudes at Alligator Alcatraz that
listen to this, folks.
Don't want to fence around.
Listen to this. This is the kind of people that these facilities are housing. And again, this is not the Hampton Inn.
One MS-13 gangbanger is nicknamed Satan. He's wanted for being in a murder ring. We have Biden migrants with convictions for sexual assault, robbery, arson. One guy in Alligator Alcatraz was arrested
I want you to
for
listen to this.
slicing an elderly woman's throat. The media wants these guys sleeping in California Kings with silk sheets.
What do you say to these lawmakers who argue this is not humane treatment of individuals, of humans?
Well, our detention centers at the federal level are held to a higher standard than most local or state centers and even federal prisons. This is a state-run facility at Alligator
More
Alcatraz,
than 30
but they have
people stuffed into a jail
They have
cell?
a contrast. Well, I've been there and I've seen these rooms that they are in. I wouldn't call them jail cells. I would call them a facility where they are held and that are secure facilities.
Democrats have called them cages, though.
I don't care what the Democrats call them. I don't care what you call them. This media we've got, folks, they are, to me, they are probably worse than the politicians. And that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot. They're lower scum than the politicians.
I wish they would have said that back during the Biden administration and
Thank you, Christy.
when Democrats were in the
Thank
White
you.
House and they were piling people on top of
Thank
each
you.
other on cement floors.
Bodies were getting stacked like sardines in Obama-Biden cages. Where was the media then?
Nowhere.
That looks like a cage to me. And they didn't even have beds. They were sleeping on the floor. And these were migrants who hadn't even committed a crime. Migrants were so desperate where Biden was holding them, they were suicidal and slitting their wrists. Democrats, they don't want them in cages. They just want them out there working in the fields.
And they want them in your neighborhood. Not their neighborhood. Not their neighborhood. No, you ask the people of Martha Vineyard. Y'all remember that, what happened a couple of years ago when Abbott and DeSantis was sending these illegals up to Martha Vineyard and the freak out of the elites up there? That's Obama country. And they only sent about 100 of them, and they were freaking out, cussing, and get these people out of here. No, they want them in your neighborhood, but not theirs.
300 illegals, some of them minors, got iced at a pot farm in California. The farm's been investigated for forced child labor and human trafficking. Democrats went from the party of workers' rights to, let's let foreign kids pick our crops. We need to keep weed prices low. They want to keep families together so they can harvest cannabis together. Karen Bass says she can't even get her car washed in LA.
Get back in there.
They are literally driving down the street, jumping out of unmarked cars, tinted windows, no license plates, and literally snatching people from bus stop.
That is a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. But that's Karen Bass.
Going into car washes. It's difficult to get your car washed in LA now because many of the car washes have closed down.
Who's going to wax Karen's Corolla if Jose gets iced? We don't know. We didn't really believe car washes were vacant, so we called 5 LA car washes today, and they all picked up and told us to come right in. Since Karen can't tip Jose for vacuuming her trunk, she's sending him stimmy checks instead.
But we also are going to have a reinstitution of the Angelino card, something that Mayor Garcetti started during COVID that will actually provide cash assistance to people. Because, you have people who don't want to leave their homes, who are not going to work, and they are in need of cash. It's a couple $100. I don't know the exact amount, and this should be available in about a week.
Bass wants to mail reparations to migrants. LA's still in debt from the riots and losing all that homeless money, billions. And whole neighborhoods are still burnt down. Are the illegals getting checks faster than Americans who've lost their homes? Seems like it. It's been 6 months, and they haven't even started rebuilding Malibu. The no-name California senator who lunged at Nome says he can't leave his house either, because if he goes to Home Depot, Homan's sending him to Alcatraz.
What if I was outside a Home Depot because I like to do some work around the house, not dressed in a suit? Would I be a target of ICE enforcement?
I really wouldn't care if you would be, Mr. Padilla, because you're a pathetic disgrace. That'd probably make the approval rating of the ICE people go up about 100%.
Tom Holman, probably, and it's just wrong. It's
not wrong, folks. It's not wrong. It's not wrong. We got about another minute of this. It's almost over. We got some thoughts.
Not just due process rights that have become the concern, but racial profiling.
Is Karen going to send senators stimmy checks if they're afraid to leave their homes too? Mark Cuban says Democrats can at least help Holman a little.
They should be putting Tom Holman on blast, saying, okay, the FBI has their top 10 most wanted list, right? List the top 1,000, criminals that are here that need to be deported. We'll all help you. But the Democrats would never say something to the effect, we'll help you. They only have to do something that's the antithesis of what Trump says and does. You've never heard a Democrat say in the past 7 months, yeah, okay, I don't like it, but this is a step in the right direction.
Democrats still haven't figured it out. Most of the country wants alligator Alcatraz and mass deportations. The Times, ABC, CBS, all their polls say a majority of Americans back it. But if Democrats are going to keep trying to move them into five-star resorts, this country is going to put them in the dungeon.
Well said, Jesse. Now, I play all that for a reason, because that has been the big story this weekend. Alligator Alcatraz. I asked about Trump and the Lord, and most of you believe that he was saved for that. I'm going to ask you another question tonight, and it's this: Do you support Alligator Alcatraz? And I'm just going to let you chime in on this. We're going to take your thoughts here in just a second, and folks, let me just say this. This is really the bigger picture. This administration, you saw the little sign there, laying the law down. When you have a lawless society for as long as we've had one, and Joe Biden was basically allowing illegals to flood over this country like a tidal wave, and we couldn't get the courts to do anything to get them out. We couldn't get the president to get anything because he wouldn't even know what day it was. And all the murder and the raping and the killing and the assault and all these things. And you had a feckless Congress, and nobody was even making any effort at all. Mayorkas should be in jail tonight for what he did, what he allowed. And you get this administration in now that is basically, folks, let me just put this in perspective. Trump is not doing anything extreme. Do you realize that? All he's trying to do is uphold the law. But because we become so lawless, when you just simply try to enforce the laws that are on the books, and Tom Holman says that all the time. I heard him in a press conference yesterday, day before, and he said, we're only doing what is on the law and on the books that we're allowed to do. And it's so strange to us that most can't handle it. Even many on the right, many Christians on the right. And we hear all this compassion talk. Well, it's not compassion. You heard the reporter. Well, don't you think that's uncompassionate, putting them in cages? There's nobody putting them in cages, folks. Where are you going to put them? You're going to send them to your neighborhood? Again, that's what the left wants, and I'm afraid that's what many on the right want. You've got pastors behind pulpits telling everybody that, Trump's policies of illegals is not something that Jesus would do. Let me tell you something. Jesus wouldn't have allowed them to come into the country to begin with, because Jesus is not into lawlessness. He doesn't endorse lawlessness. He's never endorsed lawlessness. There's one coming that will. He's called the lawless one. But because we have been conditioned as a country and really as a world to allow this without check, and then you have a president that has come in with one thing in mind, and you've got a border czar with one thing in mind: we're going to enforce the law. There's one thing about these events that always causes people to their true colors to come to the front. What you're seeing right now, these people that are opposing these things. Look, I'm no fan of Mark Cuban, but I had to agree with what he was saying. See, the Democrats cannot even bring themselves to agree that we need to get illegals that are committing heinous crimes out of the country. They're willing. That man that was willing to cut up that grandmother, and you saw the thing that Jesse had about what he was trying to do. Folks, there are thousands of those people that are in this country, these gangbangers, these drug pushers, and the child trafficking, and the fentanyl, and the pedophilia, and all of these things that are going on. And we've allowed them to go on. And all Trump's trying to do is get this element out of our country. But because we've been allowed it, even upholding our law has become traumatic. And there's nothing that, look, these people that are in that facility down in Florida, folks, it's not that bad a facility. You know, some federal prisons are far worse than that. And as DeSantis said, we're not here to make the Four Seasons. He's right. Tom Homan is right. Trump is right. And those that have a brain out there see it as such. Those that don't, they are consumed and they're being controlled by a lawless spirit. And Karen Bass, and Gavin Newsom, and Fitzger in Illinois, Murphy in New Jersey, Waltz in Minnesota, Hochul in New York, and all of these sanctuary states, they need to be in that facility along with the illegals. They need to be in the facility with them for breaking the law. Now, whether they're going to have the guts to do that or not, I guess that remains to be seen. So Kris will tell you up front, I totally agree with Alligator Alcatraz. It's not inhumane. It's never inhumane for a nation to enforce its laws, folks. That's why we have something called the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And that is what we're supposed to do. Now, I haven't got to everything tonight that I wanted to get to. I want to read this right here. And this is off of Charlie Kirk's Twitter handle. And I'm going to take your questions. I got to get out of here. We're going to cover a lot more of this tomorrow night. We got James Akers coming tomorrow night. We got our dear friend Jonathan Tarrin coming this week. He hadn't been with us for a long time. And we'll explain why when we get him on the show this week. We've got some new guests coming in the next few weeks. But this is today. Charlie Kirk reported this about 9 hours ago. He said, Ghislaine Maxwell, the longtime associate of Jeffrey Epstein and the only person ever imprisoned in connection with the sex trafficking network, says she is now prepared to speak publicly about the notorious client list. In a surprising development from prison, she has announced that she would welcome the opportunity to testify before Congress and reveals the full extent of his dealings, including the names of his powerful clients. She emphasized her desire to finally tell the American people what really happened, claiming the public deserves the truth after years of secrecy and speculation. According to Maxwell, President Trump is not on the client list. Instead, Maxwell claims that plenty of top Democrat Party officials are, and they're implicated, although she has not named any specific ones. Her comments suggest that the client list may contain politically explosive information with the potential to upend public trust in some of the nation's most prominent figures. Maxwell, who was sentenced in 2022 for her role in grooming and trafficking young women for Epstein, maintains that she has remained silent under intense pressure. But now, she says the time has come for full transparency, and quote, this is her quote, if Congress is serious about uncovering the truth, I'm ready to speak under oath and reveal everything I know. Whether lawmakers will take her up on this offer remains to be seen, but her willingness to testify could reignite interest in one of the most disturbing scandals. I disagree with Charlie. To me, that's not the most disturbing scandals in recent history. This illegal alien situation and these lawless Dems allowing these illegals to run wild in their cities. That's the scandal. The auto pen scandal is more important. Fauci being pardoned by God knows who in the Biden White House, not by Biden himself, is a more important scandal. This transparency over the assassination attempt last year, we still don't have answers on this Thomas Crook. This kid, there's no telling who he was being financed by. We can't bring him up from the grave and ask him now, can we? Those are more important things, and that we may address that more tomorrow night. I want to play you one quick clip by Alan Dershowitz. This is him tonight on Chris Cuomo's show. Not a big fan of Cuomo. I'm going to let Alan say this real quickly, and then I'm going to take your questions. If you got questions, we've got 5 minutes, so put them in there quickly.
Is the government hiding a client list or anything that the Trump administration could release tonight?
No, there's no client list. There never has been a client list. A client list suggests that Jeffrey Epstein made a list of people to whom he trafficked women. What there is a redacted FBI affidavit from accusers. There are several of them from accusers that accuse Jeffrey, that accuse various people of having improper sex. And that has been redacted. The names of the people accused have been blacked out. Now, of course, because I was the lawyer and I did all the investigations, I know who all these people are. I could figure out, based on everything that I saw, who Mr. X is, Mr. Y is, and Mr. Z. I can tell you right now, none of them are public figures who are currently in office. Some of them were previously in office. Some of them are dead. But there is no client list.
And I'm going to pause it right there. We'll pick this up tomorrow night. That's a total contradiction to what Ghislaine Maxwell said. So we'll see where this goes. I really don't care. But it is funny how all this convoluting, folks, is a distraction. And I come on here on a Monday night. It's Monday Night Smack. I wanted to get this out of the way because I'd rather not have to talk about it no more. And unless Ghislaine Maxwell shows up in front of a congressional hearing and starts running her mouth, we ain't going to talk about it. Not fully. I think we've said what we've had to say. I'm more concerned about the illegal situation. All righty. Any questions? Deanna Salem, good to see you. And she says, I wonder if the anchor babies will have their pseudo-citizenship revoked, if ever. Deanna, that's going to be an interesting take, and I think the Supreme Court is going to deal with that in September. I think that is going to be a huge road. That's a huge, what do you call it, crossroads. And the Supreme Court is geared to hear that argument this September. You know, Trump's winning in the Supreme Court. All these little pint-sized judges are doing all this stuff, and the Supreme Court is just slapping them all down. He got a win tonight because they basically told him, you've got the right to dismantle the Department of Education. And, you know, I think that he's always had that right. He's the executive CEO of the executive branch. He can fire and hire who he wants to. But this anchor baby situation, I know it's complicated, but to me, it goes back down to the lawlessness and the lawfulness of the country. You're either going to have the rule of law or you're not. And I said this to Nicholas Giordano, the professor. If there's somebody that came into this country, let's just say 30 years ago. I won't even put 40 on it. I'll just say 20 years ago. If you've been in this country 20 years illegally, okay, and you've never made any effort whatsoever to become a legal citizen in this country, and you've just stayed here illegally, and you've had a baby, and I'm supposed to believe that gives you some right to stay and that baby some citizenship right, because a lot of them use that as the excuse why they are going to need to be allowed to stay. And the media plays that up, and the government, these Dems play that up, and people that believe in illegal aliens being here play that up. I know I'm going to sound like an evil ogre, folks. I've got no sympathy for these people. I don't. If you can't do the right thing when you come into this country, that tells me you are putting your middle finger up to our laws and our Constitution. And I said it a while ago, folks, because we've allowed this to go on so long. For somebody to come in and try to just uphold the law becomes an act of treason. Trump's doing nothing, folks, that is wild and unprecedented. He's just trying to uphold the law. He's just trying to uphold the law. That's what Tom Homan's doing. It's pretty elementary to me. It's pretty elementary to me.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
It's elementary, my dear Watson. Cleo says, do you think Mark Cuban is setting himself up as a candidate for Musk's American Party, noticeably distancing himself from the Democrats? That is an excellent question, my dear friend. I wouldn't doubt it, and I hadn't thought about that. He wasn't a big fan of Musk there when Musk was all up in Trump's cage, and politics is a weird business over here. There's been rumors that he has been recruited to run in 28, and I think Elon Musk, and I'll just say this, I heard Kevin O'Leary, he's actually a counter host with Cuban on the Shark Tank, and I like O'Leary, I really do. He made the comment, and I don't know where he was at. I think he was on Sean Hannity's show. But he said that he really believes that Musk and Trump need to reconcile this difference. It's bad for the country. The American Party's not going to work. There's not going to be any American Party. It's going to destroy itself. People will not vote for a third party. It's not going to gain anything. The only part of that party that will do anything in 28 will be the fringe never Trumpers, of which Cuban is one of. And I'm going to answer your question, maybe. I'll just leave it at that, buddy. I think maybe that's what he's after. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. I look for Trump and Musk to kiss and make up at some point. I do. I don't think it benefits either one of them. What's going on? They got two big egos. We got the biggest industrialist in the world, and we've got the most powerful man in the world. And they just need to sit down, have a Coke or whatever they drink, and fuss at each other, scream at each other, get it out of their system, hug each other's neck, and say, I don't have to agree with you, but we don't need to do this for the sake of the country. It's a good question, but ask me that question next year, because the presidential campaign begins 2027. It's not really beginning right now, but after these midterms of 26, that's when things will start aligning themselves one way or the other. And that's just Chris's opinion. That's just Chris's opinion. Good question. It's actually a good question. Corey says the prison looks better than some homeless shelters. Corey, that's exactly right. Corey Aguilar, good to see you tonight, dear. That is right. That prison looks better than most homeless shelters that people have to stay in, that have to get tough times, and they have to wind up sleeping in places they don't want to sleep. And, he played you a little bit of Debbie Wasserman Schultz's. We had the whole video. We'll play that tomorrow night. But these Dems are, I don't understand how they think this is a winning look for them. But they do. They think defending these people is a winning look. Cuban was, as Cleo said, distancing himself from that. But he's been out there before saying the same thing. So it does make you wonder what's going on with him. That's interesting. All right, you got 3 minutes, 2 minutes. Got any questions? I thought we'd have more than that we've had tonight. Let's see. We've had 100%. We never get 100% on anything. But we literally got 100% that 100% of you support Alligator Alcatraz. So that's a first. And we had 100% support the fact that President Trump was spared by God. I do believe that. All righty. Listen, I've got so much more to talk about, but it's time to say goodnight. I've got to go. It's 11 o'clock in the east, a little after 11. I've been here an hour and a half, so I'm going to let you go now. I've enjoyed being with you tonight. It's good to be back. And we got a fired up week ahead. And we should be with you every night this week. And we hope that you will join us. Now, we will be 9:30 each night, except Wednesday night. Wednesday night's our face show at 8 o'clock. And if we need to go later in the night because of traveling, it'll be at 10 or 11. We may do a late show or two, a new show. But tomorrow night, James Akers will be with us, Lord willing. And we'll pick up some of these new stories and so forth. But we've missed you. We thank you for all the kind words and thoughts. And we are grateful to be back in the seat with you tonight. And as my, elementary, my dear Watson. And just for you, Castellanova out there, just one more time.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
That's how Kris would handle his first press conference. If Kris ran for office, that's how I would handle my first press conference. I would start that out like that. Anyway, Mark says, I thought if you were born here in this country, you automatically are citizen according to the Constitution. Mark, there is truth to that. There is truth to that. But parents are doing that. This is where the argument is going to come down. You got two parents that are illegal, and some of them are doing it so they can stay in the country. They're abusing the Constitution, and this is the big argument. And I guess the Supreme Court's going to have to make a decision about this in September. I do not believe that if the parents are illegal, that the anchor baby situation should be allowed, and that baby is a citizen. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion, and if you don't agree with that, I don't take umbrage with that, and there's going to be disagreement on that. But they're doing it to me, it's illegal. It's illegal. And again, why? The question has to be asked. If you've been here 20 years, if you've been here 30 years, 15 years, even 10 years, 5 years, for goodness sake, if you've been here 2 years, what is it that does not prompt you to go down to a citizenship center where millions of migrants that are here legally have come, went through the process, did what they were supposed to do, they learned English, they became legal citizens. So it's not just an insult to the folks that are born here in America, Mark. It's an insult to people that have come in from other countries and have went through the process. I do not believe the anchor baby has a right to claim citizenship in this country. Because that's not what the Constitution was written to uphold. It was not written to uphold lawlessness. And it is an act of lawlessness to do what these people are doing. And that's just, as the old saying goes, that's McMan's opinion. That's McMan's opinion. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that this week. We'll talk about that this week. And we're grateful for you folks being with us tonight. May the Lord bless you. Hope you have a good night. And if you got a question, comment, McFilesr@gmail.com. And again, folks, we've mellowed out over the last 7.5 years. Me and Lemon Drop got through a whole program. We didn't even insult each other. We always insulting each other. I'm going to have to call her up and say, what's wrong with you? You usually insult me when you come on my show. Are you okay? I'm going to have to go lay hands and pray for Lemon Drop. She didn't even insult me tonight. I didn't insult her. We were kind to each other. We always insult each other. But it was good to have Lemon Drop back with us. And I'm glad to be back. I'm in a good mood. I feel like I'm in a good mood this week. Listen, you take care of yourself out there. Be safe. Our prayers for this nation, folks. Got a lot of stuff going on. Good Lord. Our prayers for the folks in Texas. Hadn't even talked about that. There's some flooding going on in other parts of the country tonight. But listen, y'all be safe out there. May the Lord bless you. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you back here in the morning on the Bible study. Back here tomorrow night, about 9. Until then, McDonald out on a Monday Night Smack. See ya.